guns save lives. And this issue that we're talking about here is really important because it has real consequences in the real world. And so that's why I'm very excited about the speakers we have. I first want to start with Representative Richard Hudson, who again is the sponsor of the legislation. So would you join with me in welcoming Congressman to come speak to us? Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here with you. And Ms. Allen, it's a real pleasure to be in your company. I also want to recognize Thomas Massey, one of my colleagues who's here. He's a strong Second Amendment supporter. And I saw Jody Heiss earlier. I think he may have had to head to another event, which unfortunately I've got to do in a couple minutes too. My advice to all new members of Congress is block off family time because your staff will fill every other 5 minutes on your schedule. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to stay there, but it's really an honor to be here with you. I want to thank Eric and John and Pete Wyrick from the Gun Owners of America for sponsoring this event. Thank you for your tremendous work on behalf of our Second Amendment rights. You guys are in the breach whenever you're called upon, and we appreciate you very much. It's an honor for me to appear here with you today. And I want to thank all of you for being here. It's a busy day, a lot of things going on the Hill. It's very much appreciated that you took your time to be here and join us today. You know, I'm a lifelong sportsman. I grew up with a grandfather who taught me to respect firearms. We had guns in the house that I never touched because I knew better. I was taught proper respect for that and the responsibilities gun ownership carries with it. Many Americans choose to own guns for a lot of reasons, whether it's self-defense, shooting, hunting, for whatever reasons. I believe the plain language of the Constitution is very clear when it guarantees our right to keep and bear arms. And our Second Amendment really is that right that guarantees all our other rights. A lot of folks would like to call it our first freedom because that's the freedom that guarantees we can defend our other freedoms. And that's why it's so important. And that's the reason I introduced H.R. 38. Not a coincidence. I asked the speaker for that number, the concealed carry reciprocity bill. Somebody on my staff suggested we get the H.R. 223. I said, that'd be pretty cool, but you don't really conceal carry a 223. So H.R. 9mm didn't really sound right, so we stopped at 38. But anyway, I'm really honored to be the principal sponsor of this. But as was said, we're already at 146 co-sponsors in just a month. And so a lot of that has to do with grassroots organizations like Gun Owners America pushing to get more co-sponsors. And, my goal is to get to 200 and as many members of the Judiciary Committee like Thomas on there as we can. We've got a lot of strong members on there. I was talking to Ken Buck yesterday about it. I feel really good about our chances of moving this legislation because we've got so many folks that understand how important this is. And really, it's a simple concept. When I drive here from my home in North Carolina, I don't have to stop at the Virginia border and take a new driver's test and get a Virginia driver's license. And if I miss my turn in D.C. and end up in Maryland, I don't have to stop and get a new driver's license for Maryland. Each state recognizes that. And in the Constitution, besides the Second Amendment, you've also got Article 4, Section 1, which requires states give, quote, full faith and credit, end quote, to, quote, public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. I'll read that again. Full faith and credit to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. That's why states recognize divorces from other states. That's why states recognize driver's licenses for every state. And in the same way, they should also recognize the right to concealed carry. It's also important to note that folks from constitutional carry states, their rights are also guaranteed in this legislation. So all they have to have is a government ID, something showing they're from that state, and that counts. So it's important that just like a driver's license, these permits and this right to carry is recognized in all 50 states. There's a lot of, the critics like to push back. They use a lot of emotion. The hostility really, to me, boils down to an anti-gun position. Since coming to Congress, I've been fighting to advance all kinds of Second Amendment, pro-Second Amendment legislation, trying to push back on these anti-gun folks. And what I've seen over and over is that they're using emotion and we're using facts. And I think that's how we ultimately win this debate is, we recognize there are people out there who have legitimate fears, legitimate concerns, but they're being stoked and played to by the left, and to try and create fear. And so what we've got to do is be compassionate and be understanding towards people's fears, but respond with the facts. The facts are, as more people are concealed, crime has gone down. The horror stories the left tries to paint just aren't true. And so we have the facts, and we have the truth on our side, we have the Constitution on our side. And so it's up to us, I think, in a very humble but very forceful way to advance our position and explain to people what the true meaning of the Second Amendment is and what the true meaning of that Section 1 of Article 4 really means. And so if we do that, working together, I'm confident that we can do this. We also have another ace in the hole, our president, Donald Trump. How different it is this year compared to last year when we had a president who didn't, in my opinion, respect the Second Amendment and who was anti-gun. He was politically savvy enough to know that he couldn't do everything he wanted overtly, so he did it covertly. But today we have a president who campaigned on concealed carry reciprocity, who campaigned on Second Amendment rights, who was endorsed very early by another gun rights organization. And so it's a new day in America, and having President Trump supporting us is going to be critical in getting this bill done. I'm confident we'll get this bill out of the Judiciary Committee, people like Thomas Massey leading the way, and I'm confident we'll pass this out of the House of Representatives. We've got the votes. But when it comes to the Senate, we're going to need 8 Democrat senators to vote with all of our Republicans. And I can count about 4 Democrats, Thomas, I think we can get to come over, but we need 4 more. And I think the difference maker is going to be our president and his ability to, not pressure those folks, but just help create an environment where they'll do what they wanted to do in the first place, which is support this legislation because they know it's the right thing and the people in their states want this. And so it's going to be up to us to work together, to be smart about it, to use facts, to be compassionate to folks on the other side, but to be very firm in our defense of our rights. And I believe we can get this done working together. And so I think one of the, when I met Ms. Allen, I said, I've read about you and I've actually been telling your story for years. I can't believe I finally get to meet you. Janine Allen is, if I made her story up, you would tell me it's too sensational. No one would believe it. So I can't wait for you to hear her tell her story in her own words. But she is the quintessential example of why we need this legislation. The biggest pushback I get from reporters and other people about this is, well, won't criminals conceal guns? And criminals are going to do that anyway. What we're trying to do is make sure that law-abiding citizens who are trying to do the right thing are not criminalized. And there's no greater example of that happening than Janine Allen. And so I don't know if I'm introducing her or we'll just go ahead and bring her up. And please give a warm welcome to our friend Janine Allen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. It's been a while since I've spoken, only because I've been living life and trying to take care of my children the best way I can, especially after an ordeal that I've been through. I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I went through. So I'm going to try to take you guys back to 2013. It was October, and I was driving to New Jersey to throw my 3-year-old a birthday party. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was going to the Trump Hotel, actually. And I had got a room for 3 days, and I just went to SPCA that day and got a dog for my kids so I could surprise them, and I had balloons and cake and everything in the car. And I was just, living my life like anybody else would. And I live in South Philadelphia, and I always would go in and out of New Jersey just to get my kids out of the area. That was like our decompress. So I wasn't in any kind of a rush. I was just waiting to go and have a good party for my son so I can go back to Philly the next day and bring him back so that he can enjoy himself. So in the midst of me being halfway already at the hotel, I got pulled over on the turnpike, entering New Jersey. I was about 5 minutes away from the Trump Hotel, and the lights I seen it flash behind me, and I pulled over. The officer, the state trooper, pulled out. He got out of his vehicle and he came up to my car, and he asked me, "What are you doing here?" And I looked at him and I said, "Well, this is New Jersey." I didn't really know how to answer that question. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm an alien. So at that point, he asked me for my license and registration and proof of insurance, my credentials. I then asked him why was he pulling me over. He wouldn't say. He just said, "Just please give me your license, registration, proof of insurance." At that point, I turned around and I will always have my purse on the floor of my car. So I turned to the back to grab my purse, opened my purse, went inside before I can even dig to get my purse, my little purse, to show him my credentials, my license to carry, everything. I just voluntarily opened my mouth. He never asked me any questions about this. I just said, "I just want to let you know that before I dig in my purse, I'm licensed to carry. I have a firearm in my purse." And the officer looked at me. He said, "What?" I said, I repeated myself and said, "I just want to let you know I have my license to carry and my firearm. I don't want to dig in my purse." I want you, all you guys to understand the reason why I said that and why I got myself in trouble, because I didn't want him to think I was a threat to him. And I had no reason to lie. I had no reason. I wanted to cooperate because I really didn't think I was doing anything wrong at this point. So I let him know that my firearm's right here in my purse. And he said, "Well, where is it?" And I said, "Oh, it's right here." I went to grab my purse, and he's like, "Oh, no, let it go. Don't touch that." So I let it go. He snatched it out of my lap and pulled it out of the car, emptied all my stuff on the hood of my car. And that's when he found my firearm. And at this point, I'm still looking at him crying, like, what are you pulling me over for? And he's like, "Well, you're not supposed to have this firearm. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to have it, but you're not supposed to have it in your purse." And I'm looking at him like, what do you mean you don't know how I'm supposed to have it? When am I getting pulled over for it? And he said, "This is procedure required." So at this point, he asked me to step out of the vehicle, took me to the back of the vehicle, put cuffs on me, took me in, locked me up. He even shackled my ankles to a bench. Not only was my hands behind my back, but my ankles were shackled. I didn't understand that point. He was trying to open my firearm. At this point, I was told I had how to bullets in my firearm. When I purchased my firearm, I only had it a week. I never fired it. But the next day, after my kid's birthday party, I had plans to go to a ladies' night event where I purchased a firearm in Philadelphia, where I can get training on the firearm. I never got the chance to get that training. So when he took my firearm, it had a safety lock. It had 3 safety locks on it. So my understanding is I don't see what criminal would buy a firearm with 3 safety locks on it that can't go off. You're carrying it on your person, in your purse, and then give up the information to police. So I was just trying to break everything down to you guys so you can see that I was a first-time gun owner, and I purchased that firearm because I was robbed twice in Philly, in my neighborhood, in the same month. That's the only reason why I purchased a firearm. I was never around firearms. I always worked 2 and 3 jobs. I was a young mother, and I took care of my kids, so I never had a reason to want to be around firearms besides me protecting me and my kids. Even to this day, I carry and try to protect me and my kids. My whole point of even being here is because the national reciprocity, before I even knew what it was, I thought that my driver's license and my license to carry was the same. It should be the same. Whoever wrote it differently, it don't make sense to me. It's not common sense, because then if I was from Alabama and I wanted to go into New Jersey, I would get arrested because I don't have their same license. It just doesn't make sense. So it's very important to get this passed so that I won't have to keep checking the app or Google or getting wrong information from police officers or just people that just don't want me carrying because they're scared of firearms and get myself in trouble. there's signs all over in places where they accept firearms, but there's so little for you to see. It's not allowed here. It's not allowed there. Places where the crimes happen, my firearm is not allowed. So I just thank you all for even being here to even listen to my story, because it creeps me out every time I say it, because it can happen to any one of you. Just that easy. Wherever you live, if you live close by here, even here, it should be recognized everywhere. I went through this whole ordeal and I'm still going through this nightmare. It's been 2 years and I lost my job. It took for me to get pardoned from Governor Christie and make enough noise and enough people got up that I never thought would stand up for me on the right, I would say, because I was very disappointed that I didn't get any support from the left. And growing up, hearing the things that I've heard, I went for them for help, and they turned me down. So it's very important to put it out there to everyone that we care about the Second Amendment and just protection. I mean, you don't have to carry. You can have, it's just the right, it's protection. It's, you care about your life enough to want to have that option to try to make sure that a criminal won't take your life before, you can take your own. I mean, that's common sense. But I thank Governor Christie. If it wasn't for him pardoning me, giving me a full pardon, I would be still going to jury trial. I would be doing 11 and a half years. My minimum was 3.5. New Jersey pressured me so much to take a deal, just to use me as an example, because I was a woman with a gun, and it made no sense. I just got expunged last January. Yeah, it's been a year. This month since I've been expunged, and it's still hard for me to get into work. I'm a medical assistant. I'm a phlebotomist. I draw blood. I help people. I talk to people all day, and I can't get back into work because of the trauma, because of me just wanting to get out there and speak on this issue to let everyone know, women like me, women that don't have the chance like me, to get their story out there. That there are people in jail right now that took a deal, that are from different states that I've talked to, that wrote me letters, that want to know how can they get their story heard because they took a deal. I was willing to fight and go to jail. I had plans to get my kids taken care of by other people, to do 12 years, because they pressured me to take a deal so bad for something I didn't do. I just didn't think that was right. I was willing to go to jail for it again. So it was just the pride in me. Like, how can you think I'm gonna take a deal for something I didn't do? I didn't even get to use it. I didn't get to protect myself with it yet. And there's no criminals that go out there and voluntarily to say I have a firearm. Things are just backwards nowadays when it comes to firearms. I think they're just so bad. I would never intend to hurt anyone. I have learned since then everything I need to know about firearms. There is good people out there who do take it seriously and that use it just for whatever purpose, whatever, if it's sporting, if it's just protecting yourself, or just trying to protect your land. People have that right to protect yourself and protect everyone around you if you need to. If you're on Wawa, if you go to New Jersey right now with your firearm and you just have it out in the open, that's unlawful possession of a firearm. You're going to jail for that bullet, not the firearm, but that one bullet, and that's going to give you 5 years, minimum 3. There's nothing you can do. I was arrested with rapists, women that were rapists, and they were doing less time than I was. It was sick. So I just want everybody to look and really listen to what happened to me and use that and tell the next person, because it's still happening to people, and we need to stop it with this national reciprocity and get on top of the bill so that we can get this passed. Because if it was here, I wouldn't have went through that. So it's definitely very important to me. And I'm going to do everything I have to get it out there so that we can get it passed. I really appreciate all of you being out here today. Gun Owners of America, Congressman Hudson, thank you so much, John, everyone, for even having me here. It was a humble having me here. It really was a gamble. I'm sorry, it was a gamble. My kids, they don't they don't want me out of their sight. Ever since what happened, one day I was home. I said I'll be back. I went to work and got off. Went to get the dog. Never came back home. That's very scary for a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old to go through. So I don't want no one to ever have to go through that ever again. And with this national reciprocity, we will. And with Trump, he's going to make it happen. So I came on the Trump train early last year. I wasn't sure yet, but I knew I wasn't going with Hillary. But Trump, I really learned a lot from him when it came to Obama being my president and not hearing me out. Because I tried to contact his office as well to let them know what was going on with me. And it was just like another story. So he reached out to me. I got to actually see Donald Trump and meet him. So that was great. That was actually getting to tell, someone my story. And them saying, you know what you got to lose for me? So I'll never forget that. Well, you got to lose, you're right. Well, I got to lose. I did too many days in jail. So thank you all, really. Every time I tell my story, it's different, and it gives me goosebumps every time I say it because I don't want nobody else to go through that. So thank you all for having me here.
We still have some time, so if you would like to ask questions, you can go to the mic to ask a question. Shanine is available to answer questions that you might have. I think her story certainly highlights just the ugly face of gun control. It doesn't stop bad guys from getting guns, never has, but you see the people that it does affect. The people like Sandy Havel and Shanine Allen are the people that get affected by it. So it's good. I'm glad we're having this discussion. So Shanine, why don't you come on up?
Well, first I want to say thank you so much for sharing that story. I had read about it before, but hearing it straight to you is just really powerful. I know you're a single mother and you have 2 children, and I believe you spent 40 days in jail.
Actually, the days is very off because I didn't have to get a calendar. So I kind of rounded it off. Every time I speak about it, it's rounded off to about that. I know it's way over a month.
So my question is, as a single mother who's in jail, what did you do with your children? How did you reconcile?
They just
It's
roam
not
the streets.
For anyone to be in prison, but as a single mother, what did you do for your children?
Well, when I got arrested, they were home by themselves for a couple of days.
What?
So I had to try to get in contact with their dad.
You had a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old home by himself?
In jail, just to wait till I get that first phone call to let them know where I'm at. And I don't know what's going to happen, but just take care of them, make sure they get back and forth to school as if I would when I was there. And that's how they was taken care of through their dad, making sure that they was okay. He did the best he could to take care of them. I kept money home. That was good for me. I'm glad I did that because that's what they survived off of until I came back.
Oh, it just trails off. So if anyone was curious, that was from some event with Gun Owners of America. Obviously, I don't know if you heard the first part. It was the guy that introduced the national reciprocity, and then they had Shanine Allen come up and she told her story. So, I mean, I think it's kind of putting a personal face to national reciprocity as far as, the things people can get tripped up on. I know there was a couple things I noticed she had said, like, I can't believe I'm getting in trouble. I did nothing wrong, like absolutely nothing wrong and unfortunately, technically you did do something wrong. I mean, it's her responsibility to know what states those licenses is good for and what they're not. Now, I'm not crapping on national reciprocity. I think I'm being sold on it. As much as I'm scared of like the federal government telling the states what they have to do, I'm starting to come around on that as saying, it does make sense as far as the whole driver's license work, your marriage license work, your carry license should work. That seems to make sense to me. And my big concern on that has always been that they're going to throw in an amendment or throw in a, what do you call it, earmarked or whatever, where like every single state has to have like a certain training requirement or a certain classroom time or whatever. Because places like California and Illinois and New York and all that, they want to have those 18 hours of training and 100 rounds of live fire where you got to shoot 99% hits and blah blah blah, whatever. They want to make it hard. And there are other states where it's just like you fill out a questionnaire like, are you a dumbass? No. Okay, here's your license. So as it's written right now, there is no requirement like that. If you get a carry permit from a state, it is good in every other state. And my understanding is that even if you have a non-resident permit, so if you get a permit from a state that you don't live in, that also has to be honored in all 50 states. So that would be great news for people in the states that really don't give out permits. They can get a non-resident from a different state that is very open to, letting people exercise their rights, even though you're asking permission to exercise your right. But that's another thing. I mean, constitutional carry across the board would be good in my book. But again, we're pushing a rock down the road. Let's not jump 5 exits ahead. Even though I want to get 5 exits ahead, I'll take every step I can. So, I think that that's a good way for people in California, people in New York, people in New Jersey. But you all know what states we're talking about here. There's basically 10. They're the 10 states I can't carry in. My Michigan license is good in 40 out of the 50, and that's basically the best you can get. There's no other state that has more than that. So that's cool. I think there's some others that are tied with it. I'm not saying that we're totally awesome, although we are pretty awesome. But how's it going with that? I don't remember. I don't know how Matt does this, dude. I can't just talk all to myself all the time. A lot of nice little soapbox there. I don't remember. Anyways, I think national reciprocity's I'm coming around to it. I think it's a good idea just for the practical use of people that are in restricted states are able to get their license from a different state, and then they'd be able to carry in their home state. So states like Heavy out in California, he'd be able to carry in his home state because his home state doesn't care about him. So, anyways, yeah, I clicked on that video. The title of it was like National Reciprocity Act Explained or something like that. So I have to admit, I was hoping for a little more. I was kind of expecting it to be more of like a legal definition of what the bill was going to be. And especially when the first person that they called out was the guy that actually introduced it, right? I mean, he was the main sponsor, and then they had a bunch of co-sponsors or whatever. I thought, okay, cool, they're going to get into the language of the law, and like I kind of nerd out about that kind of stuff. And they didn't really dig into that. I've heard Janine Allen's story a bunch of times. It's one of those things that, yeah, it's unfortunate, it's sad. I do still stand like she shouldn't have done anything wrong, but technically she did. Like the way it was written, technically she did. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what I'm getting at. Like I don't think she should have gotten in trouble, but at the same time, ignorance of the law isn't a defense. So technically, yeah, she did break the law, and I'm glad she got pardoned, and I'm glad it got all public. But there's got to be tons more people that went through that same thing and didn't get pardoned by Christie because it wasn't a big publicity thing. So that's unfortunate to all of them. And I do find it interesting. She pointed out, like, I went to the left because all my life I was told they're the ones that are going to help me out and all that, they care about people and the right's mean and evil and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, but actually it's been all of the, the right, the conservatives, those types of groups that have reached out to help me. Obviously, the Gun Owners of America had done something. I believe NRA had done something for her in the past. Hey, Dano, how's it going?
My fitness space. So who was that we were listening to before? And what was the background?
Oh, that was well, it's from Gun Owners of America, some type of conference or something. But basically, that was Shanine Allen. She's that lady that lives in Philadelphia, has a carry permit. She drove to New Jersey, got pulled over, and got arrested.
Okay, yeah, that was like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, it was in 2013.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So this was like a it was like a thing. It was talking about the national reciprocity, and like I said, the title said something like "National Reciprocity Explained." So I was really hoping for like a in-depth legal definition type thing, and it wasn't. But whatever.
Yeah.
So it was basically just her telling her story of like why it would be a good thing, because the common sense thing, or the what the general public thinks, you get a driver's license, it works everywhere. You get a carry license, it should work everywhere.
But if you get a fishing license, it doesn't work that way. You get a hunting license, it doesn't work that way. I mean, other than a driver's license and a CDL, and there may be many examples, I just don't
marriage
know.
license and different stuff. No, I mean, I get you. Yeah, there are some state specific licenses. You are correct, but it's
I do have a interesting conversation to pass along. I got a call yesterday from the NRA, and it was one of their calls that they give me every other month asking for money, and they started off with trying to fight for the National Concealed Carry as well as the Suppressor Act, and what I decided to do was to entertain to see what information I might be able to get that I was unaware of. And so they were pushing, obviously, the National Concealed Carry Act was one of the two things, and they wanted me to name, they listed off like 4 or 5 things. What was my number one priority for the NRA? And I said, very simple, repeal the NFA. That's one thing, that's what I want. And he said, well, what about concealed carry and all these other things? I said, repeal the NFA. I said, without that, all those other issues, or at least many of them, all go away. And he said, and he was very polite. He said, that makes a lot of sense. I'll write that down in your response. And then when it came to the concealed carry issue, because he continued talking, because of course his goal is to get me to give him money. I
right,
said, so
and those are the
exactly
things right now. So that's what they want you to agree with.
Right. And I said, I like the basic idea. I said, but I have a possible issue with some of the particularities of it. I said, such as, how does that work out for people who live in concealed carry in permitless states that do not have concealed carry card because they believe you have the right to carry a card just like you have a right to carry a comb in your pocket? How does that work when they cross the line? This National Carry Act. He and I said, because I can obviously see for Californians, for the New Jerseyans, for the New York City people, for the Hawaii people, there's a lot of states where I can see the obvious benefit. But it truly is not a clear benefit for everyone across the board. And I said, so how does it work in regards to that? And I don't want to say I knew what the answer was, but I was just kind of assumed that if he's going to call me as a proponent of
You should have
something,
some information on it. Yeah.
yeah, you should have some information, because it's natural, people are going to ask questions. And he said, that's a really good question, of which I don't have any information on or answer to.
That's kind of
So,
disappointing.
yes.
Because he could have first been like, well, you can take it on vacation
Yeah.
if you ever want to travel to those states. That's an easy answer.
And that's where he started on, right up until I mentioned the permitless states. And when they go on travel.
Well, it actually, they mentioned that in this little video at the beginning. The congressman explained it a little bit. If you're from a constitutional carry state, all you need is your driver's license from that state. They have that in there, that constitutional carry states will also be allowed to carry anywhere.
Now, I realize that the person said that, but just like we were also told from an authority that we should always believe in, that we can keep our doctors, that just because we're told something from a source of authority that should know what is correct and what is incorrect, we know that we can't always take that information hook, line, and sinker as the truth. Now, I'm not saying it's a lie. Maybe it's...
You don't know if they're going to tack something on before it gets passed. And that's where my big hesitation is. And I mentioned it just a minute ago, is that I'm afraid it's going to pass with some type of minimum training requirement that's going to force every state to adhere to at least that minimum training.
Right.
And honestly, like, as much as I don't like mandatory training, I think everyone should do it voluntarily. I can kind of see their case, because the reason the other states have faith in your driver's license is because they know at some point you took a driving test. So, and every state has pretty much the same, level of thing. It's not mandated federally, but they've all gotten together and kind of agreed, okay, we're going to make these kids, drive with their parents for a year and blah, 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 whatever.
Every state, they're written as well as a physical driving test.
So as much as I don't want to make their argument for them, like, I can see that it's as a very real possibility, and I don't like that. That would actually make it worse for the states that already have their freedoms.
Smeggy, if you could do me a favor, if you notice that the Every Second Matters discussion has started up, let me know, because I'm on my phone and I can't necessarily easily tell what's happening. My phone only lets me do one thing at a time.
Yeah, I will, because I definitely want to jump into that.
Yeah,
so I'll probably shut this lobby down when that starts up.
Yeah, I have a semi-smartphone, semi-stupid.
I have a stupid dog. Fucking dog. I'm walking my dog right now. He just bit an old lady.
What?
So I drew down on her. I told her, look, man, we're out of here. You're call the fucking cops later. You know what I mean?
I believe half of that story.
Oh, I ain't got time for this shit. I'm sorry, lady. If it's you or the dog, trust me, it's you.
So how you doing today, DB?
Fucking fuck, dude. My car needs repairs. I'm broke. Honestly, might have to start driving Uber part-time or something, because my car is a decent car, and it's not that old, but Jesus, they want to hit me for like $2,500 in fucking bullshit ass repairs, and I can it has to do with my doors and my air conditioner.
Wait, what year is your car?
2012.
Okay, yeah. That's that. You shouldn't be having super expensive stuff yet.
I know. That's the fucked up thing. It really is fucked up. But I learned my lesson. I had a Volkswagen before that I had until 100,000, and I bought it used, and it had like 20 or 30 when I bought it, and I loved it so much, so I got another one. And I won't do that again.
Now, did you just want something different, or why'd you end up getting rid of that first one?
At the 100 mark, I wanted. I just started getting nervous about those kind of repairs, like transmission and shit.
Right.
But Also, I wanted a little bit of bigger car. I had a Jetta.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
kind of
went
like
with bigger.
yeah. The Jetta is similar to the Honda Civic. You can
Yeah.
do a 4-door and get 4 people in it fine, but you're not gonna. It's not going to be like luxurious, or if you have friends that are large,
Right.
it's not going to be comfortable for them. Because I know I've had passengers in my Civic that were large, and they barely shoehorned in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But there's nothing I can do.
No.
Like you can shoehorn yourself in, or get another, some other rider.
Everyone that I talked to was like, don't ever buy a new car if you're going to think about doing Uber.
Well, I didn't buy my car for the purposes of doing Uber. In fact, I bought my car before there was Uber available to drive for in my area.
Right.
About 6 months before they even announced it.
Nice.
So I didn't buy it for that purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well,
No, I don't know if I would have changed my mind or not, but
every
one
second
thing
matters, man.
One thing that I've told people is that, if you want a new car and you think that doing casual Uber is going to just make it like a free car payment, is that it can very easily, because I've seen it happen on more than one occasion, where somebody gets a new or new-ish car, and now
Right.
instead of going out when they want to, they now have to go out to make that monthly car payment.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And then it's no longer the great job with the flexibility. Now it's a have-to job.
Exactly, Mundo.
So,
Well, I'm here. I work my regular job. And every second matters. I probably won't be around for. But we'll see.
That's okay. We understand.
Do you have any guests on?
Amendment.
No.
I'm not
Any
sure if
special
anything's
guests?
scheduled. I'm not sure if anything's scheduled for it. To be honest.
I not that I'm aware of, but I did not ask that specific question.
I'm only going to be on if Masad Ayub is on.
Oh,
So
well.
I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him, look, when we met the first time, I wanted to pet your hair. I didn't have the courage.
Well, when he wasn't looking, on one of the cigarette breaks, I did steal one of his cigarette butts, so I have his DNA. So technically, we can rebuild him if we want to. I have the evidence. Yeah, I can plant his DNA and tobacco and cigarette of choice.
Mm-hmm. In the future, they'll be like, we need a real man, a man's man.
And then they'll say, let's see, we got a cigarette from John Wayne, we got a cigarette from Masad Ayub, we got a
They can
cigarette.
make a baby.
Yeah. We got a cigarette from that guy out west. I forget what his name, Thunder Ranch guy, or not the young guy,
Clint.
but
Yeah,
Clint
Smith.
Yes, Clint Smith.
Well, that would be a hybrid of like the dad I wish I had.
Yeah,
I mean, my
mix them
dad
all
was
together,
cool, but
make one person. That'd be cool.
yeah. Actually, I don't know if I take that back, because one day I kicked my dad in the balls, and I wonder what would have happened if my dad was Clint Smith and I kicked him in the balls.
Well, I'm not sure you'd be around to tell this story right now.
Yeah,
Well,
you might have
normally fathers, even when done wrong, do not kill their children in modern times.
Oh, that's a liberal myth.
Well, then I guess I'm a liberal myther. Because I can say as many times as my son has done a dickhead thing, I have never had the urge to commit murder.
Well, I meant the opposite. Like, liberals would be like, if dads had guns and their son kicked them in the nuts, they'd shoot them.
Oh.
But it was just not the case.
Something that did happen last night that I heard off of a channel called We Are Change on YouTube. It's an independent news guy. And, it's not that I'm 100% by him. It's really just the information I'm interested in is the UC Berkeley thing, and that the cops literally stayed back and let the crowd melee upon
I heard that from
the other
Milo.
side. And
Milo said that shit himself.
Yeah,
He
and
was there.
The crowd was 95 to 99% snowflake.
Oh yeah. Well, they were violent snowflakes,
Yes.
and some of them might have been paid,
Yes.
and some of them might have been brought in from elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, our universities, and this was even true back in the late 70s when I was in college, is the professors are universally very liberal
Oh yeah.
in their political views and their views about how the world should be run. And no, I did not attend 1,000 different universities, but I did attend 3 universities and a junior college until I got my degree. And that's something that I noticed. And my problem is not with having liberals teach. My problem is an unbalanced approach to teaching the young. There's always 2 sides of a coin.
Yeah. I think the problem comes from when you label things hate speech, that might not actually be hate speech. And I was listening to that guy Milo, who I don't listen to him a lot, but he was saying
That's the first I ever heard of him.
Oh, he's great. He was funny. He's fucking funny to listen to.
Is he a comic or what?
Yeah, he's a fucking comic. He's a sort of a comic, but
Kind of. Yeah.
Sure Matt
A
and these
satirist?
people, they tried to label him the king of the alt-right, but he's a gay British man who's like a comic, and then he wrote for Breitbart. And that's the thing is that Hillary Clinton, when Hillary Clinton gave that alt-right speech, and that alt-right speech was like totally engineered to like, win, to try to slam Trump and his association with Breitbart. And you've heard Never Enough Ammo maybe once or twice talk about how Bannon said he wanted Breitbart to be like the home of the alt-right, or whatever. The point is that the alt-right might be neo-Nazis. There's some neo-Nazis out there that say they're the alt-right. But the media and Hillary Clinton and shit were trying to pin it all on Milo. And Milo's a gay dude from London. And he's pretty young, but he's he's not conservative. He's just more like, he bashes feminism. He bashes like snowflakes. He bashes liberals. He bashes fucking Muslim apologists and shit like that.
Yeah.
So when I was telling Dano, he used to write headlines that were controversial just to be controversial. So one of his headlines was "Feminism will give you cancer," right? Or "Feminism will give you breast cancer," or "Liberalism will make your son gay," or something like that, right? So and that was all on Breitbart because he was like a chief editor over there. So my point is that when Hillary Clinton gave that speech, that famous alt-right speech, and she was reading off these headlines on stories from Breitbart, they were literally comedy. You know what I'm saying? They were jokes. Like the headline would be like, "Feminism makes your daughter a lesbian."
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was a joke.
Like taking an SNL skit seriously.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so I was watching him from a couple years ago, and I think he got famous because he was giving a speech at a school one time, and they jumped on stage and tried to assault him. And anyway, the whole thing is UC Berkeley is supposed to be like the headquarters or like a famous monument of free speech. And they were trying to say, oh, he's hate speech, and the state, we want to make sure our students are safe and shit like that. And then they go out and burn fucking cars and beat up people, and they were throwing shit at cops. And I saw a video, they were beating the shit out of a guy with like baseball bats, dude. So.
And then there was a woman that got hit in the head with a steel bar, and somebody sprayed mace in her face a few minutes after.
Yeah, they're really fucking scary, dude. And they're not liberals, man. That whole thing of like, yeah, they're not liberals anymore. Those people are fucking ultra radical fucking leftists.
Right.
I just want to point out one more thing on the alt-right thing with him, you know, because that's alt-right's always accused of being racist and stuff. Milo, on many occasions, has pointed out that his preference is black men. So he's like, how exactly am I a homophobic racist when like almost all my boyfriends are black men? Like, what the?
He literally said one night he was like, on YouTube, he was like, I just sucked a black dick last night, or something like that. So, I like sucking black dick, or some shit he said. Anyway.
He's definitely a troll
And then he
or a
said, I'm not all right.
provocateur, you know.
He said, I'm not all right. I never said I was. It was them that was saying I was. You know what I mean? Like, and all I did was, I think he defended them at one point because they were basically saying if you were all right, you were a neo-Nazi. And he was like, well, that's not really the truth. Like, if you look into it, some of these guys are just like pro-Western civilization, anti, you know, whatever. Maybe they are anti-Muslim or something like that. But he was just trying to say, like, man, it ain't like that. And as soon as you defended it, they were like, all right, he's the king of it. And Breitbart's going to be, you know, at one point when Bannon said that shit, I want Breitbart to be like the home of the alt-right. I don't even think he knew what the fuck it was. You know what I mean? Like, in their terms, they're just thinking alternative right. It sounds like right-wing media is usually associated with what, Fox and maybe Rupert Murdoch, Wall Street Journal. And if you put an alternative in front of it, it just sounds like, oh, alternative media, alternative right media.
Right,
And
yeah, I
it
always thought before someone, I think it was someone on Gun Channels was talking about it, and like honestly, before I had heard that, the whole racist part, like I basically thought that it was their answer of like, if you're like a college age student, but you happen to be conservative, like you're probably alt-right, because you're not the old school, you know, like whatever, like Bible thumping, you know, right-wing type person that you would think of. So for a little bit there, I'm thinking, if I wasn't libertarian, would that make me alt-right? And then I heard all these people talking about like racists and shit. I'm like, well, I'm definitely not a racist, so I don't know, maybe I'm not alt-right. Well, I wouldn't be anyways, because I'm definitely libertarian more than right-wing. But still, you know what I mean? It's like, it's confusing.
Sonny, I will validate that you are not all right.
I said I'm not alt-right? Yeah, I agree with that.
You're half a bubble off.
Well, no, I guess, like, you know, Never Enough Ammo was talking about this shit a lot. But eventually they traced it back to some guy who like initially coined the phrase, really was a fucking like some neo-Nazi guy. You know, but it would be like if some Ku Klux Klan guy said new media, we're the new media, you know, and we could trace it back and go, oh my God, someone said new media, and that guy was a racist Ku Klux Klan guy, you know. But that's really where I think.
But that doesn't mean everyone on YouTube is now in the Klan. You know what I mean? That's the thing too.
Well, and you know what? It got to the point where they're not saying it anymore. Like Milo would never say he was all right, and Bannon and those guys are, you know, Bannon's fucking done. But at the end of the day, Breitbart was a fucking Jew, and they were best friends. You know what I mean? So they talk all this shit. He's a white supremacist and all this shit. I don't know what to believe, but.
It's definitely hard when other people label you into a group and then say, look, this group also has other bad people, therefore you're just like them. It's like, wait a minute, you're the one that told me I was that thing, and then you said these other bad people are also that thing, therefore you're them. It's like, what? So, yeah, I don't know. I guess it is what it is.
Crazy world. Crazy world.
But, yeah, for a little bit before I had really heard that, like, you know, the racist people were, like, really, like owning the name alt-right. Like they were very proud of calling themselves alt-right. I'm sitting there thinking, I don't see what's so bad about it. Like it sounded decent to me. And then when I heard a little bit more, I was like, oh, that doesn't sound so good anymore.
Yeah, that's what it is. The name game.
Right. Well, and that's the
The label
problem with
game. They're
identity
labeling.
politics when it's always, us against them and you have the wrong name and we don't like you because you're on the wrong team and all that shit. Like, you get problems like that.
Matters yet?
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
Oh wait, hang on. Live in 30 minutes, every second matters. I guess my chat window was like scrolled up. It didn't scroll down. I don't have a link to it or anything, but you're breaking up real bad. I don't know if it's me or you, but I did not hear any of that.
No, it's him. He just broke up for me too.
Can you hear me now?
You're breaking up a little bit. Like I could figure out you said, "Can you hear me now?" But you're breaking up. Bad connection. Let's see, did he just jump out?
Shit is real.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want a link, let me know. Okay, that's what you have said.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, what I was going to say is in the chat text, it no longer gives you a timestamp. So when someone says, I'll be back in 30, you don't know 30 minutes from when.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just looking at it a few minutes ago, so it's just somehow I scrolled up and it didn't jump down to the bottom. So I would say that was maybe 20 minutes ago. Let's go with, or 10 minutes ago. I don't know, but I want a link, so I think I might actually shut this lobby down and go over to Every Second Matters.
We've got a half hour.
Could you hold on till he's actually live?
Well, I guess.
I mean, and then as a courtesy to those of us on a phone, just make sure that there's a link out in the chat. Because I can't see little things at the bottom. Like if I get an invite from somebody, I can't see it on my phone.
I was going to say, just us staying on live will, if someone logs in right now and they see nothing's going on,
They may leave.
yeah, maybe they'll log off. But if they see us talking shit, they might jump in
so,
here and then go.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Eastern. I just hit play on the video. Countdown is 20 minutes from now. So
Okay.
that's like 6 o'clock Eastern. So, okay, I'll keep it going for a little bit.
I mean, if you got to go, certainly go. I'm just saying.
That's fine. I'll keep it going.
I'm not trying to host shame you.
Yeah, no problem. I really don't care. You have to have like pride and stuff to be shamed.
You don't want to listen to us.
Or Snowflake, who just gets crushed by anything.
E2M. That's E3M.
Yeah. Shit is real, man. I'm going to
Miami.
I'm going to a class this weekend, Dano.
What class you going to? I know I'm not
So-
Dano, but I want to be part of the conversation.
Cool. A fat guy class.
It's none of your business, Smeggy. I was talking to Dano.
Dano's always interested in classes.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to a picnic
So it's
table
a-
this weekend, Dano.
So you mean a fitness, or do you mean something else?
Mm-mm. No, I'm going to
They
a
have
gun
that
class,
fit though.
but I hopefully will survive. And
Is it a traveling or
yeah,
is it?
it's like 5 hours from here, and I really couldn't afford to go, but a friend of mine hooked me up with his hotel points for the hotel. That's always going to go, and it was like it's Kyle DeFore, and he's like
Oh, okay.
former Team SEAL 6 guy or whatever. And I signed up over a year ago, and well, about a year ago, and his classes sell out in like 10 minutes. Like
Yeah, very
he
quickly.
puts his schedule up for the year, and then it sells out in
Now-
like 10 minutes.
Do you have access to just like the summary of the high points of the class? Or? I'm just curious myself.
On his website, it's probably there, but
Okay.
I know what it is. It's just it's gonna be rough for a fat guy like me, but what deal?
Now,
like running and
is it-
jogging and shit.
We're talking about running like 100 yards. We're talking
I
about
think
100
the
feet.
furthest is a 50, 50 feet.
You-
I mean 50 yards,
Oh, okay.
which I should be able to survive that.
So part of the class is indeed to get your heart rate up to simulate stress.
Yeah. Yep. You run to 50. You do like 2. Everything's on an IDPA or IPSC target. So you run to 50, 2, and then you run to 25, 2. I think then you run to the 7 and do 2. That's one of his famous drills.
It was
And
like
then,
doing suicides.
Yeah, but I really do hope and pray that it's not like that every, again and again and again.
Well, I'd be interested in hearing what are the, just in brief, what are the 3 techniques for regaining control of your fine motor skills when your heartbeat is beating like that?
Yeah, that's the other thing. These are all eval. So like, hello, good morning, introduce yourself, now do it. So there's no teaching before
Right.
the first one happens, and I guess that's part of the to see where you're at, so that
Right.
yeah,
Establishing a baseline is not an uncommon practice.
right. And I think his baseline probably isn't that. I think his baseline is you touch the target, and then you run to the 25, and I think you do 6 right from there, from concealment under time. So like they're, and that's your baseline. I think I can't imagine him doing the 50 thing. He might do that and then do the 50. But the other thing is he's got to stop the entire class to do that. You know what I mean? Because it's one at a time at that point.
Right.
So I don't know, but I'm definitely a big fat guy. So not looking forward to that. But
Well,
maybe it'll be a wake up call.
Say, last time I
Once
checked,
you're-
you weren't a big fat guy.
Well, I'm definitely a fat guy. I think when I met you, I was like, I probably gained like 5 pounds. But what was I gonna say? It's a 2-day course. It's 800 rounds. There's a bunch of stuff besides that. Hopefully, it'll be cool.
Is it 8 hours, 10 hours a day?
I think it's like 10 hours.
Yeah. 8 is long enough. 10
Well, I
is...
think we get there at 8 and we leave at 5, so it's really not. It's 9, right?
Oh, okay.
And then we eat through lunch. So. Eat through lunch and fun. And this will probably be the last class I take, like, ever. Yeah, not ever, but for a long time.
Well, I thought you said at some point, with no time frame, you would like to retake.
The fight. The sim one.
Okay, either that one or the Pistol 1.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely would. I would like to do the. I remember talking to you. I was like, I would love to do the sim gun thing over again too, but like, he was like, oh, I wish I could take it every year. I'm like, well, if you're taking it every year, I think it's. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary because you're gonna know all the scenarios and shit. You know what I mean? You take it, every few years. But what else?
I would think that they periodically, rotate in and out certain exercises.
Yep, that's what they say. For sure.
I mean, just to keep it fresh for people that want to come back, 2-3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what that class is in regards to prerequisites. Like the Pistol 2, you can only take if you had Pistol 1 in the last year. If it's been over a year, you're not supposed to be able to take it. You're supposed to go back to Pistol 1 again.
Yeah.
It's the disappearing Smeggy.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
see why you need to take a class. Why don't you just like randomly shoot? I mean, I'm sure you'll just get better.
First of all, it's called want to, not need to.
You're right. I think you're right. When it comes down to it, you could just watch.
And I understand your concern as far as like for mine. Number one, don't injure myself, because if I injure myself, the weekend's over and I will learn little to nothing.
Yep, that is the truth. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna try my best, but I'm not trying to win no freaking prize or anything. Or kill myself. I mean, if
oh yeah,
you should see this qualification. It's like when you do the 50, it's like I think you have a minute. So run to the 50, do 2 rounds. Run to the 25, do 2 rounds. Run to the 7, do 2 rounds, and that all has to be done under a minute. And then there's a score, and then like you have to pass a certain score. He's not gonna send you home if you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, and if the whole class is laughing at my fat ass, I really could give less. 2 shits. So
yeah,
not a big deal for me. I'll just deal. But what was I gonna say? I know somebody through my girlfriend actually that took the rifle class, and it was crazy. So
the rifle through Kyle.
Yeah, and he's taking the class now, so I'm gonna meet him for the first time, and he'll be there.
Any idea what the class size is?
No, it says no more than 12.
Okay, so he probably got 12.
Probably.
Unless somebody cancels the last day.
Yeah, probably 12, and you too. I think he has an assistant with him, where every place he goes, probably the host. But in terms of tactical fantasy, this guy's the best of all the. Like they say, he's like top 5 of all, of everything. Top 5. Like every time I listen to other instructors, and most of them will say, I don't, who would you like to train with if you could train with someone else besides yourself? Some of these guys will be like, nobody. But the guys who don't usually say him. So I was lucky. I had to cancel like a few months ago, and his refund policy is all there. You know what I mean, on his website.
Oh, you mean Kyle's class you had to cancel?
Yeah, I had to cancel, and on his website it says if you cancel after booking, you're going to pay 50% of the fucking class. So I had to cancel, for reasons I can't share.
I canceled, and I was like, fuck it. And then it turned out I could have gone, but I didn't know that until like maybe a month ago. And then the crazy shit was, so he emails me saying, hey, looking forward to the class, like blah blah, blah. Here's on Saturday, here's directions to the range, blah blah blah. Here's the nearest hospital, all this stuff. And then I wrote him back and just said, hey, just thank you. I said something like, gee, it actually turned out I could have gone. I'm very disappointed I couldn't make it. Maybe I'll have a chance to take your class next year or something like that. And then he wrote back and said, because I did say it turned out I could have made it, but I had to cancel. I don't know if you remember, but okay, And then he wrote back and was like, man, if you want to come, you can still come. Like, I guess there's 13. I'll be the 13th or something. But he was like, yo, if you still want to come, you can come by. Fuck it. So
Right.
So I talked to my girlfriend about it, and it was close, but we were supposed to go. We can't go. So then my friend was like, fuck it. If you're gonna go, this is a wouldn't say once in a lifetime, but like I said, I'm not gonna be taking any more classes anytime soon, man. So this is a good way to go out. And he's like, I'll help you with if you can't afford it. I can't afford to go because of the hotel. I already paid for half the fucking class, so like I can come up with the other half.
Right.
But it was the hotel that was gonna kill me. So he was like, I got you on that. I was like, oh shit, man, if that's the case, it's really gonna just cost me gas. I got the ammo, you know what I mean? I got the gun, I got the flashlight, you know what I mean? I got the fixed blade knife and shit.
Now, are you going to be bringing knee pads?
Probably not. Hopefully. Hey, how are you? No, I'm not going to be bringing knee pads.
I mean, because I just asked just because of the running and stuff, the chances of obviously falling or shooting in different positions. I mean, unless you're familiar with the range, all that. I mean, better to have it in your pack and not put them on and not need them than to have them, 300 miles away.
I don't even own knee pads, and when I did the fighting pistol, I didn't have them. And we weren't doing a lot for knees, so. And I was wearing my jeans or something like that. So this one, I might have to bring like some lighter pants because the running shit, I don't want to wear jeans.
Right.
But I'm not worried about the knees. Honestly, I'm worried about my back, and I'm just not trying to overexert myself to the point where I'm like fucking out of flop sweating and fucking, whatever.
Right. Well, and that's exactly why I'm sitting here doing the treadmill, months ahead of my class. It's all about accident prevention. It's not about buffing up. It's not about looking better. It's about injury prevention.
Yeah. No, I should have been doing that. I go for walks I walk like maybe 8 miles a week, 10 miles a week. I go for much shit, but I don't run. I don't really work out that much, so I'm a loser. But what class are you taking?
Fighting pistol.
Oh, sweet.
And what's a little bit unusual is mine is on a Monday and Tuesday, and then they have a 3-day. It's not held normally. It's a medical class. That's on 3 days after my class. Because they're having like a special week where you get Pistol 1, the medical class, and then Pistol 2.
Right, that's the whole thing. Yep.
And,
well, I've taken the fight, and I've taken fighting pistol, and the treadmill is going to be great, but there's definitely no running. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's definitely none of that. You're walking briskly, but still.
Right.
And even that, I thought the knee stuff. Out of the 18-hour 2-day course, maybe you're definitely getting up sometimes, and you use your knee to get up from your back or your side or something, but
right.
There wasn't a lot of knee stuff.
Right. Well, I just when I've seen video of what that particular range looks like.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. You're going to Camden?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that range looks like a shit show. I would bring it maybe for there. Yeah.
And between the potential for injury and the fact that I'm older, my knees are not as recoverable. It hurts to get on my knees just in the kitchen on a hard floor. It hurts. But even just walking of distance, strengthens your ankles, your knees, your hips, and your very lower back. Now, do they get strong? No, but do they get stronger? Yes.
Mm-hmm. No.
And the stronger your joints are,
I think
the
you're
less
gonna
likely.
love it. Love fighting pistols.
And yes, I am staying at Hotel Jaeger.
Oh, sweet.
So,
can you tell him to unblock me off Instagram, man? I didn't do shit, man. Oh, I added him at in a photo. I'll pay here. I added him in a photo, and he freaking blocked me like 2 years ago. So have a talk. Tell him I want to talk to him. Then.
Yeah, he may not even be there.
No, it's okay.
So I see Smeggy has dropped off without saying a word. It would have been nice.
I gotta go over the Chi-Wets.
Well, I asked him to let me know when that was happening so I could do the same. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I noticed he's just gone.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This link might not be a public link.
That's true. So
I mean, the Every Second Matter.
Right.
He might not want Zombie Master Ed showing up.
You think?
I do, though. On the other hand, I would rather have that. I think that would be good.
Well, it may be entertaining, but not necessarily for that particular chat.
I hear you. Well, if you send me a link, I'll be Zombie Master Ed for today's show if you need me.
Yeah, that's definitely all we need is the giant Stay Puft Man.
You just need me, man. Cooper will come through, bro.
Oh.